Hello.
What's up?
So I saw on YouTube that a lot of couples were doing videos on how they met, what their beginning of their relationship looked like, and I thought it was super cute. So I asked Vin, I've been actually up his butt about wanting to do a video, and he finally caved. So that's what we're gonna be talking about today.
There's not a gun to my head or anything.
Just kidding. No, he came on his own free will. We are actually currently in his truck, if you can't tell. So
That's my toolbox.
he's a very handy man. That's bad referencing. Anyway, Vin and I actually met back in high school. So I was a senior and he was a freshman. And the way our school was set up is that there's an old section, a new section, and a new section. It's a very big school.
And the old section.
So my last period of the day was in the old section, and I had to go across this long highway to get to where my bus was. So obviously I had to book it pretty quickly, otherwise my bus was late and I was gonna have to find something to stay after.
There was literally a hallway that went about almost 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, so you had to like haul it through all the other kids and the freshmen and their massive book bags. Except for this one, who never had a book bag, I don't think.
I had a binder. I used to shove everything in because, you know, sometimes I go to class, sometimes I wouldn't.
Yeah, which leads us to the other part where we would run into each other in the hallway. Was I had a third period gym class that I had to pass that long hallway, which is where also all the shop classes were, because it was the edge of the building, like the garage and the woodworking, kind of like the art section. Art and mechanics section.
Yeah, there was wood shop, construction, then there was metal shop, welding, then there was electrics, then there was auto shop, then there was jewelry shop across the hall.
Which did.
That was a fun class. I did take that.
So basically at third period, I would have to pass through the shop section to go to gym and the locker rooms, and that's where I would also pass him. And he remembers me and my raincoat. I remember him because he was very tall, dark, and handsome. And
I used to lean against the wall like, you know, Matthew McConaughey, Dazed and Confused. All right.
Yeah, he was a looker. Still is. Look at that face. So we saw each other in the hallway, but we never actually talked in high school. And turns out that we found out later on that we had friends of friends, which was kind of interesting. But fast forward to October 2014, we were actually at the same Breaking Benjamin concert, which was rather interesting.
Yeah, it was the Chance Theater. If anyone's familiar with the Chance, you know how it's set up. You have the pit, the upper level, which is like above the pit. Then you have like the bar area. Then the loft was upstairs, which was a totally separate venue. And she was standing in the pit. I was standing right above the pit where like the little balcony was. And she was about knee level directly off to my right, because I like to stand at the balcony because I like to lean on it.
And also he's taller, so he can see over majority of the people.
Exactly.
So just happened to be probably feet apart.
And this was, I'm guaranteeing it was an acoustic show, because I've only saw them twice. Well, 3 times. The first time was acoustic, second time was electric in the city. And then this one was so hyped. Just
I was excited
screaming.
I mean,
screaming. I was like, it's acoustic, calm down, please. I'm like, why are you yelling? I had no idea who she was. I'm like, are you on something? I'm like, whatever.
Which I wasn't.
I was like, I want what she's having. I'm like, she's just too hyped.
I was not on any influencers of any sort. I was just high on life.
High on pot news.
I was high on life and excited to finally see them in person. So we went to school together. We saw each other at the concert. Fast forward a couple more years later, January 23rd to be exact, I was at work and all of a sudden I got this Facebook notification, which was a friend request. And if anybody knows me, knows when I get random friend requests, I turn into Rapunzel. who are you? What do you want? Where are you coming from? Where are you going? Like, I don't know why you're here. So this was actually the first picture I saw of Vin, which I was like, ooh, girl, he'd be cute. I wanted to know about it. So I showed his picture to my friend, and I said, what do you think? I'm like, I don't know him, but we have a bunch of mutual friends. She's like, you know what? I have a good feeling. Run with it. Go ahead and accept it. So I did. I'm very glad that I did. So we started talking at the beginning of February, but really didn't start like actually talking to each other on a regular basis until, funny enough, Valentine's Day.
Yeah, which was about the time I started back at work, because prior to all this, like when I friend requested her, I was hurt at work. I had a piece of sheet metal go through my hand pretty much, and it was gnarly looking. I think that was one of the first things I showed you too. I'm like, check out this gash.
I was like, yeah, that's gross. That's really cool.
Gash.
I think it was our very first conversation when we really actually like started talking, was him messaging me being like, hey, what are you up to? Which any female pretty much assumes when you get the, hey, what are you up to? It's the like, hey, like leading up to the boom boom kind of let's do this conversation, which I was having none of. However, I decided to entertain him, and I had said not much, just getting a snack, and he asked what I was having, and I said, I'm having cheese.
And I was like, I like cheese.
Yeah. So then we started talking about the different types of cheese that we liked, which progressed into other favorite.
It was a pretty good conversation. Yes, cave into my stupidity. Cave into it.
We don't script this. This happens naturally. So that was our first conversation, and a couple weeks later, on March 1st, we officially started dating.
Yeah. But the first date, though.
That was, yeah.
That was February
22nd. I wrote it down. Yes, I wrote it down. So I
22nd. That was a
video.
Tell you what, that was a night. I had, well, the whole day, really, man. I mean, I had a shit day at work, and I didn't really text her or tell her about it, because I didn't want to, like, lead her on stating that, I'm not gonna come or something like that. But yes, I had like a busy day just working. I was covered in mud and dirt, and I get paid on Fridays, and this is before I changed banks, so I didn't have direct deposit,
which is a thing I highly suggest people.
And I went to my bank, and I go to hand in my check. They're like, okay, we're gonna put this through, but we're taking just about 3/4 of it to cover overdraft. I'm like, what? I was like, I shouldn't have anything overdraft. I'm like, everything's usually up to date. I'm good on everything. I keep an eye on it. They're like, oh, well, it's something it was FYE Enterprises. I'm like, FYE Enterprises? I'm like, I haven't been there in like a year.
Which, side note, there are no local stores anymore. There's only one. In
Hudson Valley Mall, which is up in Kingston, New York, which is a decent hike. Not overbearing, but it's a decent ways away. And I guess when I was there, I remember this conversation with me and this cashier who was clearly smoking way too much of whatever he was growing. And he asked me, oh, do you want to sign up for the VIP Backstash page? I was like, oh, man, I'm good. No. I guess he proceeded to click yes. And they were just charging me about $45 a month for, I think that's just like the 13th month. And I was like,
because it was annual, it came out as one large chunk and not monthly deductions.
Yeah. So thankfully I graduated with a fellow that works at that bank, and he took care of me. We squashed everything. We ended up calling the corporate number, and they were no help. They just kept trying to get me to, like, lower the payments or whatever, or keep the thing, because, revenue's better than not having.
Persistent.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I was screaming at her on the phone. Eventually, 20 minutes later, she's like, okay, well, we're going to cancel it. Thank you. Like, but you have to pay it. I'm like, I'm not paying it. And I hung up the phone. And it's about a year later, and I still haven't got anything, so I think we're good on that. But then I go home after lunch, or about a couple hours after lunch, and I come to find out, because at the time I was still living with my parents, and my father had the plumbing ripped apart for the shower upstairs. And I'm like, bro, are you kidding me? It's about 5:30 now, and I have to meet her at 7:30. I'm like,
yeah, so this has been all the stressors like leading up to our very first date. And I have no clue any of this has happened.
Oh,
I'm at work myself. So he gets home from work, filthy dirty, trying to shower, and the water's turned off in their house for repair.
I ended up, plugging it all off upstairs, and my sister lived downstairs in the apartment. And I ended up just showering down there, just isolated the water from upstairs to downstairs, and got all, dialed up, put on, like any cool kid, a flannel, red flannel.
Red flannel.
I remember too, I had
red plaid.
I had like dark blue jeans that had a few like rips in them, Punisher t-shirt, because let's be honest, it's awesome. All my rings, my necklace, I had 3 wallet chains hanging off because I was a rebel, It
was hot. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and I was on my way to, which was a bowling alley. We went on our first date, which was pretty mutuals. Good spot to meet up.
Yeah.
First, because dinner, movie, that's just.
You don't get to talk on a movie date, so we decided that we were gonna go bowling, do something fun where it's interactive and you can freely talk.
Exactly.
So he was getting ready. I ended up wearing kind of like a lighter color pair of jeans, my brown Adirondack Winery, shout out, my favorite wine ever. It's really good. And then I had like a pink and gray shawl, and because I knew we were going bowling and I was gonna have to change shoes, I wore like a light tan color boot. And I actually got there first, which, side note, that's no surprise to anybody. But I also live slightly closer to the bowling alley than he did.
Yeah, it's about half hour out, if that.
Yeah, so I had gone inside waiting for him to arrive.
And this guy panicking on his way there.
Yeah,
and I was Snapchatting my friends, like, I don't condone texting and driving, but when you're in an emergency, you're in an emergency.
It's not an emergency disclosure.
I was panicking.
To meet me?
Yeah, because no date ever went on actually went well, and all my ex-girlfriends, whatever happened in the past, no biggie.
No, it happens for a reason. It's all
everything
learning,
happens for a reason. But this, for some reason, I was just really hyped about going out with her. I'm like, this just seems like a cool person to chill with. I don't know if she's gonna take me back to her house and I'm gonna end up in her freezer or something. I mean, you need a pretty big freezer to put me in, even in pieces. But
this is true.
Not
that we're planning for anything. All
my friends are like, "Oh, you'll be fine, man." I'm like, "You don't understand. I'm weird." Come to find out, I've met someone who's actually weirder than me.
It's me.
But
you came here on your own free will, sir.
You agreed.
Yeah, I did. Technically, I did. So back to the date.
I ended up walking in, and
I was there, and I had instantly seen him the moment the doors opened. I mean, it's kind of hard to miss him just because of his height, but also because I thought he looked rather dashing. And so I had turned around because I didn't want to be the first person to make eye contact or to have to walk over and introduce myself or engage with him. I'm like, no, let him at least get in the building. So I had turned over my shoulder to see how far away or if he had recognized me in the crowd, because it's Friday night at bowling alley. It's kind of busy. And we didn't know kind of how to greet each other.
That whole high five.
Hug. Oh, cool, bruh. So we had a very awkward hug, got our lanes, and was told that we were going to have to wait a little bit, which we were pretty much expecting. Yeah. So we went to this little side area across from the bar. Yeah,
where you can eat, chill, there's board games and stuff.
Yeah, it's a little gaming hangout section. And we went to go sit on the couch, and I sat in the seat on the couch that you could kind of see the rest of the room. And it put me on the left side of Vin, which
is 100% deaf.
And I did not know that. So I was talking, and here's this guy who's kind of looking around, not really
like not paying
attention,
like a derp,
not responding. And I'm like,
I guess she started getting the feeling like I was not interested.
And I was like, what is up with this guy? Like, this date's probably not gonna last very long. So I was like, well, I don't want to be rude, but like, what do I do? And all of a sudden, he just kind of like, you could see him muck something up or like get ready to say something. He's like, can we switch seats?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
And this one, like me, likes being able to see the whole room and the doors and all the entrances because, you know, you got to prep for
security.
Prep for the
brawl man.
Yeah.
For the brawl bra. So we switched seats and he's like, I'm really sorry. It's just like, I'm deaf in this year. I'm like, oh, sorry. Did not realize that. And so that was kind of like the icebreaker, because after that point when he shared the story and we were talking about family and then we were talking about all our mutual friends, you know who you are, then that was kind of it for the rest of the night. We just started literally endlessly talking.
Yeah. We bowled we did 2 games, because you pay for the hour where you go, you don't pay by the game. And
yeah.
From there, we went and sat in my truck, and we talked for at least another hour or so until we got hungry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because we got hungry, then she took me to this awesome burger spot near the street. And,
BurgerFi, shout out to you guys. Super yum.
And she got to experience my, I have a problem where I always got to be first when it comes to driving. I'm bad when it comes to racing.
He's like the person at like the light that when it changes is like charge, and the whole cavalry comes like right.
I have
out.
a drag racing mentality. It's a whole thing. My family's all about like motorsports and everything. And at this time, I was driving a 2001 fire engine red Dodge Durango with a big old V8 and a posi rear, and I was used to driving by myself. And not realizing she was in the passenger seat because something clicked in my mind. The light turned green, and I just dropped it in first and just held it to the floor. And they're posi rear end. They were smoking, and I looked over. I'm like, oh, and I was like getting ready to get scolded, and she's like giggling like
I'm laughing because it was a ridiculous amount of fun. It completely caught me off guard. But I think that's kind of also looking back now, one of the things that it was like he said he forgot that I was there. It wasn't that he literally forgot me and that I wasn't in the car with him, but just more of a sign of like it was so natural for us to be around each other. Like it was never work. It was never a hard effort for us to be able to talk or hang out. It just happened.
It just flowed together perfectly.
Yeah.
And then we ended up eating, which was delicious, and
went back to the parking lot at the bowling alley where my car had stayed.
And we didn't get out of there till about 4 a.m. Nothing happened.
No. Nothing happened for a long time, for a good while. And we only realized that what time it was.
Because she looked at me, she's like, oh, look, the sun's coming up. I'm like, yeah, that's nice. I'm like, wait, the sun's coming up?
Sunrise!
Shit! And I had to be at work for like 6 that day.
And I had to be at work shortly after. So
I ended up going home, and my mom...
We said our goodbyes.
Said our goodbyes, which took about a half hour longer. I ended up going home after that, and I literally just made the pot of coffee and stood up because I'm like, what's the point of even going to sleep?
You're going to be more tired by going to sleep.
My mom's like, oh, did you have fun? I'm like, yeah, I was fine. Like, everyone seemed to be up at that hour.
Magically waiting for his arrival.
I ended up going into work. Now, everyone knew I went on this date because I was Snapchatting all of them. And I literally rolled into work like Thor in Endgame. Like Lebowski, big shades on, like the robe, walking out with my coffee. Literally did not change from the night before. I had no work clothes on. And I was like, everyone leave me the fuck alone. I'm going to sleep down there. And they're like, okay, man. Like, nervous to ask me what was going to go on.
Because with him, you couldn't tell if it went really well or if it went absolutely horribly. So it was a little intimidating to ask him, like, hey, how was your date last night? They were like, oh.
And after about a 5.5 to 6 hour nap at work, which, God, I miss those days. My buddy Tommy, who's like a brother to me at this point, because this is the first time I think I saw him today, because he's a driver and I'm not. So he was out on the road. And he's like, "Hey, look at you all burnt up." I was like, "Yeah, man, it was a long night." He's like, "Long as in good or long as in no?" I was like, "No, long as in it was like, yeah." He's like, "All right."
Yeah.
But it was a good time. It was a great time, actually.
Mm-hmm. It was a really good first date. We, from I think that point on, couldn't stop talking.
Like every moment I had that was spare to work, I was there.
And it wasn't like, oh, it's just the honeymoon phase, or oh, like it's new, so you're completely enamored, or like it wasn't unhealthy either. Like we still saw our coworkers and our friends, our work performances never changed. It wasn't like all the other aspects of our life immediately like halted because we found this other person.
There was like one point where I'm like, "Hey," I'm like, I didn't know how she was gonna react. So I'm like, "Look, I have something to do with a couple of my other friends," like hoping she didn't get mad, but she was totally chill about it, like, "Yeah, go do what you gotta do." And from that point on, it's just been like, not even so much like a relationship, but like just really good friends.
Yeah. Like, it's like the
best
friend level.
That's the point to building a great relationship, is becoming friends first, not just going straight into being with each other. You know, you gotta be friends first before you take the next step.
Which was kind of funny for us, because reminiscing about the movie concert or about us being in the same school, we had a pretty solid foundation before we even talked, because we had so many things in common with places or people and just experiences that happened along the way, that we were able to bond over that pretty quickly. So the way you see us now is kind of how we've been from day one, I kind of want to say. Like,
yeah, man,
pretty good.
That's
the story of us.
Yeah, man.
We're official on March 1st. He asked me while we were hanging out, just cuddling. Yeah, again, no hanky panky. We were cuddling, I think watching a movie or something. Yeah, just chilling.
You know, I couldn't fit a Bible between us.
So yeah, then I think a couple months later, Vin moved in, and
for reasons outside of, you know, just trying, we didn't rush at all. It just felt completely natural and everything. And I had my own set of conflicts and stuff going on where I was living with my parents. Not that I don't dislike any of them. It's just,
no, it wasn't really anything to do with their relationship.
And it was just,
per se, it was just situational.
I was ready to fly, you know, from what I'm saying.
Absolutely. And so he moved in, and we've been living together ever since. AJ adores Vin. I think his favorite pastime is standing on the couch behind Vin where he's sitting
and
playing Xbox, and telling him like on the screen where there's different bad guys or different things to find. So they get along really well too. I would say it really wasn't even an adjustment for you or AJ either.
AJ is just kind of like gravity, man. That's how I've always described my life, is I'm like gravity. Just everything just kind of flows. Oh no, it's the moon.
What? Sassy. So yeah, and then shortly after us moving in, we kind of had the whole meet the parents thing, which pretty easy.
Well, she met my dad before like anything was scheduled, because she was on her way to a concert in the city, and
my tire blew out.
Yeah, her tire blew out, and she texted me. I'm like, "Give me like 5 minutes, I'll be right there." My old man came with me,
which I did not know.
And you get out, and he's like, "Oh hey," and I was like, "Oh shit."
This is not how I was planning on meeting any of your parents. We had like a dinner in mind, like almost scheduled for us to meet each other's parents. Like he was going to meet mine, I would meet his. So this was not what I was expecting. I was expecting to go to the city.
She saw someone bigger than me, which is my father, who towers over me and is 10 times my strength.
Yeah. So
That's what
that's
paint
how I
tips
met his dad. And then we ended up driving back to his parents' house, which I had never been at
I ended
before.
up repairing her tire with a plug kit, everything. Saved her a couple $100 on a new tire because they were pretty much brand new anyway.
Yeah, which I appreciated.
So from there on, she met my mom. She already met my dad. She met my sister. And I don't know if you met my nephew.
No,
my nephew was there.
there.
My other sister was not there. So I ended up taking her off-roading in my Dodge.
Which was awesome because it also happened to snow that night.
And I have a giant LED light bar on the front of my truck, so it was just illuminating everything. We sat there for a good hour or so and just kind of just chilled and talked, listened to music.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. I mean,
nothing needed to happen for us to just be okay with being near each other or just hanging out. Like, even now, our favorite thing to do is do this.
Yeah.
We like
driving around,
just going in the car. We don't necessarily have to talk. It's just part of the ride, part of the adventure.
Yeah, man.
Chopra.
That was a fun time.
Mm.
Met your dad too at dinner. That was a nerve-wracking time for me.
That was also pretty fun. We went to a local restaurant that he had picked out. I had never been there either. So very good food. Shout out to them.
Yeah, it was delicious.
But it was also hard because my dad is also slightly hard of hearing, and Vin being, as we said before, half deaf. In a very crowded restaurant, meeting for the first time is a little challenging.
A lot of, huh? What? What do you say?
I'm
over here.
Free beer. So we ended up getting coffee and going back to where we live.
Their dad's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
It's cool.
My dad's real. My dad's funny. And he met my mom.
Prior to all this, I think. Prior to your dad, I think.
No, it was a week later.
Week later? Oh, that's right.
It was a week later because they met at the Oddities Fair.
Yeah, not Cosm. Oddities.
No,
Yeah, it was the
Oddities.
Oddities, yeah.
At the Oddities, which was also pretty crowded, but we found a way kind of like...
That was actually the first time I met AJ. Was at Oddities. Yeah.
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 Yeah, all right, so our timeline seems like a little off compared to how we're saying it in the video.
We're flowing with it.
But we're running with it. So it was high school, Breaking Benjamin, friend request in the beginning of 2019. We started like talking, dating. I met his parents. We made it official. And then he met my parents. And then a couple months after that is when he moved in, to be clear. Everybody met each other before we did any sort of different living arrangements. And it was funny because I definitely had the moment. I don't know if I've ever told you. I went to the bathroom to get ready for work one morning and I saw his toothbrush in the bathroom. I was like, oh, this is that moment that people talk about where like you don't realize like what's happening or the move-in process. But then when you have that toothbrush or that hairbrush or
claim the land,
you start fighting over the sink space. That's kind of where I called my mom. I was like, so I think this is kind of a thing. I think this is going to be a long-term thing.
Oh, you called your mom over that?
I did.
I thought you only called your mom over the Nutella.
Outing me on the Nutella! Oh, jeez.
I woke up at it was like 3 a.m. or something. It was late. You should be sleeping at this hour. And I was like, where is she? She's not in the bed. Where did she go? And I get up and I catch her full spoonful of Nutella in the mouth. Like, just those like.
I was like, that was not something I wanted him to see at that point. I was literally caught handed. Yeah, I also told her about that one. She thought that was pretty funny.
She called her like,
I was like, he saw it. She's like, Megan Grace, what's the matter with you? I was like, I had no craving. I wanted it.
yeah, man. I think.
So that's us.
Yeah, I mean.
That's us as a whole.
Safe to say, I'll probably make more videos like this in the future.
Definitely.
Maybe even start our own channel. Let's
It's
be honest.
probably going to be called Dingus.
Dingus or
Dingus McGee. I like that.
that's my
He's got the muscles.
No, I don't have muscles. I'm small.
Don't know who you're lying to.
Them. These
Don't
people.
lie to them. They're good people.
Are they?
Are they though? Are you? I bet you are.
I think so. Wait. What are you guys still doing in here? Show's over.
That was it.
Get out of here.
Deuces.